There's a new update on the alpha server for Hypixel Skyblock, and we should take a look at it. It may seem pretty minor on face value, but when you actually take a look into it, the implications are pretty big. The update is mainly going to affect the way that minions work, and then also a massive revamp with the museum. Now, it isn't just these two things that are affected, because it has a knock-on effect on a lot of other things. So first of all, I think we should take a look at the patch notes and see what's actually changed. I will link the patch notes in the description if you want to take a look for yourself. We've got more alpha content for you. The museum rework is nearing completion, which means it's time to go to the alpha to get feedback. Museum changes. After an intense arm wrestling match, Eleanor has replaced the museum curator. You can now simply speak to her. Instead of each item providing the same progress, items now grant different amounts of Skyblock XP based on their difficulty to obtain and their usefulness in progression. Now, what this means is that donating something like a Hyperion to Museum is going to have a lot more value in terms of rewards than, well, an Aspects of the Void. An Aspects of the Void is a fraction of the cost of the Hyperion, and is also considerably easier to get. In theory, it does make sense. Museum progression is now based on the Skyblock XP obtained from each item and viewable in the new Museum milestone system. Museum milestones include many new rewards ranging from items to bank interest and bits boosts. Along with the fame perk, we also added extra fame ranks. Note, some of your museum items in the special items category have had their categories changed. As such, they have been removed from your museum and will be in your Jerry deliveries. The goal of the alpha is to balance the update, and for this we need your input. Let us know if you believe an item should give more or less XP, or if you encounter any other issues with this update. Now, we're going to take a look at this a little bit more in depth in just a moment, but on face value, it doesn't seem like a bad idea at all. Minion backend changes. This alpha also contains major backend changes to minions, spawning, and functionality. The first person of a profile that goes to the private island will receive a message that the minions have been updated. Everything else should be unchanged from the main server. Please report any new issues, from issues with the item generation yields to as small as a minion holding the wrong tool. The text about the minion changes provide pretty much no detail at all other than the fact that there's been changes to minions. So we'll have to investigate that and see what's actually changed. But before we get into any of that, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. You should subscribe to the channel if you watch the videos and you haven't subscribed, please make sure to do so. You should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer Slayers and Dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. So we're going to start off with the changes to the museum, because they are a little bit more obvious than the changes to the minions, considering we actually have a bit of context as to what's happened. If you remember previously, there was another NPC here who's been kind of bypassed. Anyway, here we go. So this is kind of the new system that they're going for. It's pretty interesting. Whether it needed a change or not, I'm not going to be the judge. I'm not too sure. Every 100 Skyblock XP obtained from your museum, Eleanor will reward you. Special items do not reward Skyblock XP. And then you have milestones going all the way up to 30, and a total of 2,533 XP possible to gain. I'm not sure if that's more or less than before, you'll have to let me know. As for the actual increments, for instance, milestone 1 will give you 1% bits bonus and 2% extra bank interest. That's when you gain 100 Skyblock XP from donations, and these go up in increments of 100. So after that, I'll have a 100 mil auction bid limit, which is interesting because my initial thought is, does that mean I can only spend up to 100 million coins on items that are listed as, you know, buy it now? Or is that just on items that you simply have to bid on? Upgrading again, we get the deluxe bank upgrade, the museum appraisal service, more bits and bank interest. Milestone 4 is bits and bank interest. And to be honest, you can kind of just see, I'm going to scroll through these relatively slowly so you can see you need milestone 8 for the hex now. More bits, more bank interest, Just the Fish, Premier Bank upgrade, Shen's auctions unlocked at milestone 12. See if there's anything else interesting that you can actually get. 5 billion auction limit, Shen's special at museum milestone 20. Yeah, very interesting. I'm just going to go and claim all of these because why not? Now, what's going to be very interesting is the difference in Skyblock XP that's something like this Hyperion awards as opposed to something else. Now, this is already soulbound, so we could always try it with this Terminator and see how much XP we get for donating the Terminator. Oh, it actually shows you how much Skyblock XP is awarded per weapon. So let's see, what do we have here? Something like a fancy sword, which is incredibly easy to get. We get 1 Skyblock XP for. Now the Hyperion is going to give us 5 Skyblock XP. Let's see what happens when we donate the Terminator. How much Skyblock XP is that? Oh, 18 Skyblock XP. Interesting. So that's that's interesting. That's a lot of Skyblock XP. Unrefined Necron's Blade was going to give us 20 Skyblock XP, which is interesting because I assume you've not donated this item, but you've been credited with the progress due to your Heroic Estrella donation. Okay, so I guess that makes sense. Of course, you're going to get the Necron's Blade, Skyblock. So if you donate in the Hyperion, I guess it's going to be the same situation. It's not really 5 Skyblock XP because it's going to say you've donated a Necron's Blade 2. Tier 2 daggers are going to give you 10 Skyblock XP. Magma Bow gives us no Skyblock XP. Enrager gives us 0 Skyblock XP. Okay. Claymore's going to give you 30 Skyblock XP, which is interesting because at this point, this is not even going off value. Because I know there's a lot of talk of the museum changes being based on the value of the item, which is obviously not the case because the Dark Claymore is a fraction of the price of the Terminator, yet gives you 12 more Skyblock XP. But I guess it's how difficult it is to obtain and then also how useful it is to progression. I don't think some of these Skyblock XP figures are exactly right, if I'm being completely honest. Especially something like an Enrager. I mean, I guess, sure, it's very straightforward to drop. You just do a Kudra run. Yeah, very interesting. It really is. And the same for armor sets. Some, like, the really early game armor sets going to give you 1 Skyblock XP. Lotus set giving 3 Skyblock XP. Final Destination gives you 7. Yeah, Squash armor gives you 9, interestingly. Zombie Lord armor gives you 10. Alright, well, that just doesn't seem right to me at all, to be completely honest. I guess it is, as a whole. Superior Dragon 15. Yeah, Ember Armor 0. Some of them are not really right. Now, one thing I really do want to test is the whole, the milestone rewards, where it says that at the moment, let's see, I'm only able to bid 1 billion coins on auctions. Does that count for buy it now items as well, or is that just for auctions? I need to test that. Like, if I try and bid 2 billion, I shouldn't be able to do it. We'll see what happens. Alright, we've got 100 billion coins, if only it was that easy. Okay, let's see if we can buy this Creative Mind. Bid too high. There's no way they've done this. I'm sorry, but there's no... Oh my god. Hypixel, what have you done? There is no way this is a thing. That works. Sure, I can buy something for 1 billion coins, but because my museum rank isn't high enough. If you don't, oh my god, this is just, I don't know what to say. So if you don't have, what is it, milestone 13, you're not even able to buy a Hyperion, because the Hyperion is going to be close to 2 billion coins. Oh, yeah, this is, you've got to laugh, you have to laugh. So, what is it now? So, okay, my museum rank is 12, so it's museum rank 11 for a 1 billion coin auction limit, and you need museum rank 14 for 2 billion coins. Okay, let's see, what's the next one? 17 for 5 billion coins. So basically, if this update goes onto the main server, what Hypixel have basically done is it is completely forcing everybody to donate quite a lot of items into the museum. And by it being incremental, like the harder to obtain items being more Skyblock XP, this means that ultimately you're going to have to soulbound a lot of your good gear, which is not what a lot of people want to do, considering not everybody wants to keep the good gear forever, and obviously donating it to the museum means it's completely soulbound. Wow, I'm actually I don't believe this. This is if this actually goes onto the main server, I'll be very, very surprised. It's okay for everybody who already has a ridiculously high museum rank, like the end game players. It's not an issue for them. It doesn't change anything. But for everybody else, it's soft locking you out of the auction house, pretty much. Like, I've not donated that much to the museum, but I've still soulbound billions of coins. Like, there isn't a crazy amount of weapons I still need to donate. Armor, yeah, there's still quite a few sets, but still, I've donated a decent amount. I mean, rarities are slacking a little bit. They give you Skyblock XP, but not too much. I'm sorry, but this is just a bit absurd. Alright, well, as for minions, so apparently if we go to the island, we should get a message, or maybe I've already received it, but we should have a message to say... I don't know what's going on. Like, what has changed? Is there anything in the interface that's changed? It doesn't look like it. Automatic shipping, no, that's already a thing. Upgrade slot. Maybe I need to do a bit more research into this. There's really not a lot to go off on the forum post. This alpha also contains major backend changes to minion spawning and functionality. The first person on a profile that goes to their private island will receive a message that the minions have been updated. Everything else should be unchanged from the main server. Please report any new issues from issues with... Okay, so I don't know what's actually changed, to be completely honest with that. So, yeah, I don't really think much has changed that we can even notice. Changes to minion spawning and functionality. Functionality, I mean, looks the same. And spawning, is that, I guess, the way that the blocks respawn once they've been mined by the minion? I'm not sure. I wish there was clarification to say whether there was more to this than we need to know, or whether nothing changes at all on our end and it's just the way it works behind the scenes. And I guess that's kind of what it hints to, but in that case, I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one. Now, I think when looking at the museum changes, I got a little bit carried away after I was a bit, I was a bit shocked. So let's just say that as the fact that they've actually implemented a limit on how much you can buy things on the auction house depending on your actual your rank in the museum. It's a questionable one at best. But the other changes, actually, I don't mind at all. So there's more fame ranks introduced. Cool, why not? And I think ultimately it makes sense that you're actually rewarded more for donating a harder to obtain item, which is usually more expensive than, for instance, like an undead sword. If you compare something like a Hyperion or a Claymore or a giant sword, you shouldn't be compensated the same way. That makes sense. I think that's a good change. Also, what this does is, all the time I used to be under the impression, and I still am, that stuff like AH flipping, even though I guess can be a little bit boring and it doesn't include much progression, and people frown upon people who just AH flip and don't really play the game. But at the end of the day, that's a way that people like to make money. If they enjoy it, fair enough. Do what you want. But if you're not too progressed into the game yet, you have coins from AH flipping. This is basically soft locking those players who AH flip. If you want to continue, what you do in the game that you enjoy, then you've simply got to go back and I guess get a load of stuff, donate it to your museum, and then you can continue if you want to flip expensive items. I just don't agree with this change really at all. Not just for that reason. I think it is just a silly thing to do. It's not a system that's been broken. It's really not. The only thing I can see is maybe they're trying to stop lower level people obtaining items like a Hyperion and a Terminator. And they think that when people get to these museum ranks, then they should be at the stage of the game where they're able to, or they should be able to obtain these items. But ultimately, I can't rejoin for some reason. It's having a moment. Ultimately, I don't think the system works, because what this game is saying is that me at my level, I'm Skyblock level 340, 345 or something like that. It's not the greatest Skyblock level ever to imagine, although it's not the worst, okay? I've been playing the game for quite a while, and I don't really grind levels too much. Regardless of that, what the game is basically saying is, unless you go ahead and craft your own Hyperion and drop all the items, you should not be at a point where you're able to buy it. I'm Skyblock level 345 with max skills except from Foraging 50. Why should I not be able to go and buy Hyperion if I want to? It just doesn't make sense. And I know people who are higher Skyblock levels than me who have lower museum ranks than me. So is that saying that they shouldn't be able to go ahead and buy Hyperion, or they shouldn't be able to go out and buy, a decent Terminator? I'm not buying it. Should I not be able to buy a G-Drag? Should I not be able to, it's silly. The argument doesn't make sense. Anyway, this is just my opinion, and I was trying to stay objective until I found out that this was actually a thing. There'll be some people that disagree with me and say, oh, it's a good thing, and those people will probably already have max museum or close to max, to a point where the limit that they have isn't going to affect them. But anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.